Let's go back now to take a look at the EU's summit that's on today in Brussels, a summit that's focusing on many different things when it comes to diplomacy, ways to prevent more painful tariffs from the US, as well as considering tougher sanctions on Russia or how to make Europe's voice heard in conflicts like in the Middle East. We're going to try and bring back in Jan Wouters from the University of Leuven. Jan, what's your feeling on Europe's role in diplomacy in world conflicts like we're seeing today in Ukraine or the Middle East? Do you think the EU really does still have a role to play?
The EU definitely has a major role to play, but it's not playing it. We see that in spite of all the efforts, Europe is divided in many areas. We have been fairly united in the response to the Ukraine war, but in the Middle East, especially in the last couple of months, we have been extremely divided. We are not seen as a major player, and worse, in the global South, we are seen as somewhat of a hypocrite partner, because we are very tough on Russia, but we are not tough at all on Israel. So what we need to do at this summit in particular, I think, is bring together all the strands of all the policies of the EU, from trade to foreign and security and defense policy, to really develop a much more comprehensive and holistic approach as a global player in diplomatic processes around the world.
But what's the best way to bring together these different strands, as you're saying? I mean, there was a time when Europe had very strong leadership, for example, with France and Germany. Does it still have that kind of leadership today? And is that what it's missing, perhaps?
It's definitely missing. I think there is a lack of leadership at national level, but also at European level. Let's face it, when we look back in time, more than 20 years ago, we had people like Javier Solana. We had also in 2015 people who were able to contribute to even coordinate the process leading to the joint program with Iran in 2015. Well, we don't see much of that happening right now. And I think it's urgently overdue that we try to again bring in the very, very best and brightest of our diplomats and diplomatic skills in order to really play a much more decisive role in international affairs.
What about the European Union's role in regard to the states? Do you think that the EU can separate itself more from the United States, especially under Donald Trump?
It's a very, very hard question, and I'm the last one to actually argue in favor of a separation with the United States. No, we have to go through this period. We have to accommodate this period, as we have done, in fact, also during the first Trump administration, knowing that nothing lasts forever. But we have such deeply jointly held values, trade interests, political interests, economic and cultural interests, that we cannot separate it. It would be a form of suicidal act to do that. We need the United States in this world. I refer to the words of Javier Solana all those years ago, who said that together, if the US and the EU act together, they are a formidable force for the good in the world. And I still believe that is true.
Jan, earlier you were talking about these disagreements amongst the different member states. I mean, do you think perhaps the European Union is just too big? Is that the problem?
Well, we have to accommodate the diversity. We are 27 and we are probably still going to grow. No, I think what we need to cultivate is a much deeper common understanding of problems both within the EU and in the outside world. So there is this real need of bringing our thinking, our strategic thinking, but also our skills, the national diplomatic traditions, the European emerging diplomatic tradition with the External Action Service. We need to bring them really much more closely together to try to find common approaches that go beyond the mantras and the kind of pre-prepared statements that are always repeated in international contexts.
Just very briefly before you go, Jan, are you hopeful for the future of the European Union on the world stage? Can it get its footing?
I believe in it, because there is no alternative. Who will really try to promote and uphold the multilateral system? Who will protect and promote human rights, democracy, the rule of law in the world? It has to come from the European Union. Of course, together with strategic partners of the EU. And that's another big issue. The EU really has to look who are the reliable partners in the world, how can we bridge certain divides, and how can we really make sure that we consolidate our efforts with those reliable partners.
Yeah, and thanks for taking the time to speak to us. Jan Wouters there speaking to me from the University of Leuven.
My pleasure.